What's up, guys, and welcome to another episode of the Bubba Spade Career Mode. And it is time, after the disastrous performance in Silverstone, to try to get some points back up on the board, try to put a bit of distance between us and Mazia, who's starting to get a little bit too close. I don't like being within 33 points of second place, because honestly, there's Aragon left, there's Thailand, so there's a couple tracks where 0 points are a possibility. And if we can avoid that, then I would definitely consider that a W. And San Marino is actually, first of all, it's a place I've been to. It's a beautiful place. Second of all, it's a track that I feel like, we can definitely do a lot in. Qualified second place, just behind Antonelli. Very, very close. Mazia also qualifies 11th, so that gives us a pretty decent, chance of actually getting, getting a much better result than him. Now, keep in mind that he does tend to perform a lot better in races than he does in qualifying. That's not something new here, so maybe he'll end up being towards the front, but we gotta hope, and we just gotta try to race our own race and try to not make any mistakes, not crash. That's the most important thing. As long as we don't crash, then we can definitely get some points. And we just have to make sure that we keep it clean, make sure that we keep it we just don't make any huge mistakes that are going to cost us big time. Especially because, like I said, now it's, now is the time in the championship where the important thing isn't necessarily winning the races. It's simply getting as many points as possible. Like I said, Aragon is a track that I fully expect to be horrible on. Thailand, I've only done it a few times, so I don't know the track particularly well. So there's still some chances. Now, once we get to Valencia, I feel like I can win that one. Sepang, same thing. Phillip Island, same. So there's a lot of tracks that I definitely think that we can get wins on. But like I said, the most important thing is staying around Mazia, if possible in front of him, of course. But worst comes to worst, stay near him, and we should be fine. And we should get ourselves, as long as we don't blow it, we should be able to get ourselves a ride in Moto2, which is the goal. Considering I signed that dumbass contract for Moto3 for next season, and I definitely don't want to have to do another Moto3 season if we win the championship. That would be pretty frustrating for this career. But I guess worst comes to worst, I can just start a new one and do it in Moto2. So that's kind of the situation right now from a general point of view for this career mode. We're trying to get enough money to go to Moto2 to void the contract that we already signed. It's 105,000 credits, and that's what we need to be able to sign a contract with the Moto2 team. And we actually have some really good offers from some factory rides. So hopefully that'll be a thing. But in order to do that, we have to get good. We have to perform well in qualifying, and of course we have to perform well in the races. And there's also the fact that there is a championship winning bonus. I think we get we had a bonus for just finishing in the top 5. So we just have to do what we do, and we should be able to get to Moto2 no problem, and hopefully be able to be competitive there. Now that I've got a feeling for the career mode, now that I understand more how it works as opposed to just winging it and stuff like that, then I feel like starting next season it'll be a hell of a lot easier, and we can actually develop the bike the right way, and we can try to aim to get the difficulty towards 120%. We're still pretty far away. We're still like 85. No, I think it's a 90 right now. So still far away, but hopefully one day with enough practice, with enough experience with it, because I don't really have a lot of time, we can get to that high level, which is the goal, and then be competitive online too. So that's kind of where we're at right now. Race-wise, we're sitting pretty in second. We're not exactly pulling away from third, but that's not too problematic. Antonelli is 6/10 behind us, and Antonelli at this point isn't even really a threat for the title. He continues to have horrible performances, and Foggia is the same exact thing. Like, he's actually improving as the season goes on, but he's not really a threat at all. The only threat we have is Mazia, and I guess maybe Suzuki too. I think it's Suzuki. It's either Suzuki or Sasaki. One of those two is definitely starting to get closer to us, but I feel like we're consistently finishing above him too, so we don't have to worry about that. The only person we really have to worry about for the title is Mazia, because if we have one or two really bad performances, then that guy could be on our ass and could potentially actually pass us. And we don't want to have to go to Valencia with a true battle on our hands. That's always something that can be problematic. I don't want to have that kind of pressure. We started off the season very well, starting to have some, we're starting to struggle quite a bit, but I don't know. It would be a shame if we end up losing this season based on some poor performances late on. Vietti right now, though, he's having a hell of a race, and of course him being Italian and San Marino being basically in Italy. I mean, it's its own little republic, but it's right there in the center of it, or not quite the center, but. And let me tell you, San Marino, if you haven't been there, you definitely need to go. It's a beautiful place, actually pretty cheap. At least when I went there in like 2006, the prices were pretty good too. We're able to buy some buy some nice souvenirs, which is not, not usually something you could do in Italy with, for cheap. So definitely a place that I could recommend you guys to go. That entire area, though, is really, really nice, especially San Marino. So it's a great track. It is a truly, truly great track. And I'm not going to lie to you guys, that like the first couple of times I raced on it, I wasn't really a huge fan, but it's really grown on me over the years. And, it's been what? It might be 10 years since it's been on the calendar. It might be more than that. It might be a little bit less, but you get the picture. It's been on there for a while. Meanwhile, Mazio's all the way up to 3rd place. That sucks. So now we have to finish above him, and we have to make sure that, hopefully he'll finish a few positions back. But if he finishes in 3rd, at least we gain, what, like 4 points on him? So that's, yeah, it's 4 points. So that wouldn't be terrible. I would be okay with that. That's at least something gained. So, it's better than nothing. As I was saying, like, the track, it's kind of grown on me over the years. At first, I wasn't a huge fan of it, but as time went on, I've learned to really, really love the track. Like, it's not the easiest of tracks, but it's also, once you start to flow with it, it really is a fun, fast track, especially the last sector. It's just so much fun. But even like this part right here, like this is the final turn, of course, going in. If you can get the first turn right, you can really, really get a good time here. And I feel like that's kind of the most important part. Well, actually, that's not true. There's 2 parts of the track that I think are fundamental. Right here, this is important. Really ran wide right there. It's going to set us up poorly for this left-hander, which is going to completely ruin our time for this lap. And that's something that I like about the Misano, is that there's one sector where you know immediately whether or not you have completely blown it. And there we blew it. That's for damn sure. Vietti's going to pull away a little bit, I would assume. Now, we fixed ourselves up, went through this part perfectly. Have to get this left correctly. We kind of cut it a little bit too much, but able to get a decent run off. Hit the alligator strips, which we don't really want. But we're still right there. Vietti is, what, within probably 2 seconds of us? We can get him. Maybe a second and a half. We could potentially get him. Now, this left-hander is really fun because you got plenty of room to, get on the gas, whatever you want. That's a great place to make some passes. And this is the turn right here that gives me the most problems. Right here, this second little apex, it is a nightmare for me a lot of times. Now, it's not difficult. As long as you're mentally there, as long as you're focused, it's not a problem. But me, I'm not going to lie to you guys, I have some attention problems apparently, because I've been noticing it a bit more lately. Especially during races, my mind just kind of starts to wander, and I do occasionally forget that part, especially in qualifying. In racing, I feel like I can focus a bit better, but if I'm doing like time trial or practice or qualifying, I just kind of end up losing my focus, and I make a lot of mistakes on that particular turn. But once you get that one right, and once you can just kind of consistently, perform at a high level there, then it's perfectly fine. It's actually really, really easy and really fun. And it's one where you can definitely make some passes, because the AI does tend to leave a hole there for you to fill. Pause. And I do like to fill holes. Pause. So, so obviously that's a good spot to pass. Now, I didn't notice this, but we have a 0.4. Well, basically it's half a second at this point, because there's only, it's 0.495. So it's essentially half a second of a penalty. That is terrible, because obviously you know how it is. I tend to either be extremely fast in the last lap, or just completely shit the bed, honestly. And especially in a situation like this, where a lot of stuff is on the line, a lot of I'm not gonna say that the career is on the line, but definitely the season is on the line. Like 1 or 2 big mistakes here could really cost us. And I'm not the best. I haven't been the best performer in situations like that in this MotoGP game. Let's put it that way. Not necessarily from a championship point of view, but just in general. Like even in MotoGP 19, I did make a lot of mistakes when it really counted. So that's something that I'm trying to improve on and trying to really fix. Like right there, I ran way too wide. I feel like if I hadn't been so hard on the brakes, I probably would have gotten through the turn, no problem. And one thing I've been noticing is that I have this. I've had this. I don't want to say. How can I put it? I don't want to say it's like it's a terrible habit, but I do have a habit of using left trigger, and if you're on PlayStation, it's L2 alongside A, which is X on the PlayStation, which is essentially the rear and front brake. LT is front, A is rear. And I've been noticing, like in the old games, that was extremely cheesy. That was the best way to get through turns. You could get you just get really good times by spamming the rear brake. And I've been noticing that using the rear brake in this game is really costing me. And it wasn't doing that earlier on in the season, but it seems like with the update they've kind of either nerfed it or they've trying to change how the physics work a little bit, and it's really been costing me. Like, I end up running wide way too much because I'm locking up both brakes essentially. So, and I've been trying to work on that, and that's something I think that's probably the next step for me to actually get good, is stop using the rear brake constantly, no matter what the situation is, and just try to focus on the front brake, try to focus on my, you know, my brake markers and stuff like that. That was actually something that was recommended to me as well by some of the guys in the Facebook group I'm in. I mean, I know it's a problem for me. It's just in Moto3, it's not necessarily extremely noticeable. It's just later on it will be an issue. So right now we're trying to catch Vietti. We're desperately trying to catch this man, but we got a horrible drive out of there. And like I said, I tend to shit the bed, especially when there's a penalty. Like, if there's no penalty, usually I'm fine. It's just I almost always have penalties, and that does kind of cost me a lot going forward. Ran wide in this turn, which is of course the turn I mentioned earlier. It gives me a lot of problems a lot of times, and when the pressure's on right now, especially because if you look at the HUD, there's only 0.04 fuel tank left, which is that's one thing that has also really been giving me problems, is because I'm just not used to it. I'm still not used to it, despite having done what, 14 races now. I'm just not 100% used to the fuel consumption and stuff like that. But I have been working on swapping it, you know, and modifying power, traction control, all that stuff on the fly, and not having to look at the screen and stuff like that. So far, been able to do so. But going to the last turn, if you look at the HUD in the bottom left, they're pretty damn close. Get a decent drive out of the last corner, and I think we're going to be just far enough to get second place, which is a decent result here in Misano. I would have liked to win, but you can't have everything at all times. And yeah, there you go, boom. Okay, so we were actually 0.6 above Mazia. So, well, that's counting the penalty. So we were definitely more. We were about a second in front of him. So we can't really complain too much. Second place overall is decent. We have a 37-point gap, and then a 93-point gap between us and Suzuki. So essentially, like I said, it's pretty much only us and Mazia at this point that can win the title, and we just have to make sure that we don't make mistakes. We have to make sure that we continue to race our race and do what we have to do to just secure enough points to stay above Mazia and make sure we don't allow him to get back in here somehow, essentially. So, I mean, Vietti, hats off to him. It was basically a perfect performance for him. From the start, he was first. I don't think we were ever first. I think he got a good start, too, so we were never actually first. And that's a shame, because I feel like if we had gotten a good start and ended up, you know, in first place, we probably would have won this race. But overall, Vietti is not a threat at all to the title. He's not in the top 3, so there's no reason for us to be worried about it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and let me know in the comment section down below. Like, I say this every time, like, if you have any tips on how I can get better at the game, like, even if it's going forward in Moto2 and Moto3, sorry, MotoGP, and if you have any tips for the career mode in general, what I can improve, and you know, if you have any like pro tips on how to actually get a lot of money. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and as always, I'll see you in the next one.